Hi, my name is Nick Grainge from Elite Outdoor Fitness, and this is a video blog on how not to train. It's going to be very specific of how not to train because obviously that's a huge subject. But essentially we're just going to be talking about the structure the Elite Outdoor Fitness uses and how we structure our very basic principles of training, which is 60 to 65% easy recovery, injury kind of management sessions, 65 to 75% LSD mitochondria building, and stroke volume, heart stroke volume kind of training, and LSD being long slow distance, and 75 to 82% efficiency or MAF training, maximum aerobic function type training, which essentially is everything below 82%, and 82 to 88% lactate threshold building, and anything above 88% I kind of power VO2 max kind of reaction time kind of training. How not to train. We're very specific, and we kind of use the science behind kind of fitness to ensure that we're kind of maximizing the benefits, especially in the first kind of one or two phases of like a 3-phase training program. We kind of hit the ball at the park a little bit and kind of throw some merging sessions in there, which are really efficient in kind of building capacity once you've got a good baseline level of capacity, but that's another subject. So essentially the fundamentals of training are that you should break down, if you're doing an efficiency run, for example, or if you're doing an LSD session, or if you're doing a tempo session, and we break tempo sessions down into tempo 1, tempo 2, tempo 3 to be a bit more detailed, so that we have functional kind of sessions throughout the whole of the areas from 4 minutes to an hour of threshold sessions. And if you're carrying out any of those sessions, then you want to be carrying that session out. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to be going and doing a lactate threshold session to increase your lactate threshold, then there's kind of no point really kind of bounding into the VO2 max and the power sessions. So for example, if you're going out and doing let's say 5 4-minute efforts, for example, and that's to increase your lactate threshold, which predominantly the focus on increasing your lactate threshold function is going to be between the realms of 82 and 88%. If your lactate threshold, because you're an advanced athlete, is 92% of your maximum heart rate, you are still maximizing benefits between 82 and 88% of your maximum heart rate, and that's the zone that you want to train. So the point I'm making is, if you're going out and doing 500 efforts, 5-minute efforts or 4-minute efforts, for example, and you go out on the first one and you bust the gut, it might be that if you go a bit too hard on your first one, you might be working at 85 to 86 to 88% on your first one and making huge gains because you're actually in the zone of 82 to 88%. You go out on your second one and it might well be that you're actually working straight away, you're straight up to 88%, and you kind of slowly just tip over a little bit, which sometimes in normal cases, when you're progressed into a program, isn't the worst thing that can happen, but at the same time you're not maximizing the gains between 82 and 88%. And then what you'll find is that you will potentially kind of fall apart in your third session, and although you'll feel as fatigued as your first and second session, you won't recover as much. Your heart rate will be high when you start your third session, and because of the blood lactate and the high content of lactate in your blood and all the other systems that have been compromised and overwhelmed, you might be a second or 2 seconds or 3 seconds slow or 10 seconds slower on your third session, feel like you're working between the realms of 82 to 88%, and your heart rate might even show that as well. But because of the system's overwhelming response, because you potentially did the second session higher than 88%, you're not working within the realms of 82 to 88%. You're actually probably working a little bit lower than that, even though all your kind of system responses and your heart rate might be suggesting otherwise. When you're running let's say for a 5-minute session, it actually takes probably 2 or 3 minutes to get up to the functional area where you're making and changing based on the stresses that you're putting your body under. I.e., you know, it might take 2.5 to 3 minutes on a 5-minute session to get your body up to like 82 to 85% of your maximum heart rate, where you're actually fundamentally making some serious changes and efficiencies to that system. And then you're only in that kind of the realm of that for, say, maybe a minute or 2 minutes, and that's best case scenario really, for like a 4 or 5 minute session. And so if you get it wrong, and you start to slip off a little bit on your third or fourth session after 2 or 3 minutes, it might well be that you're only actually engaging in the correct zone for a period of maybe 30 seconds to a minute instead of the 2 minute, because you're having an overwhelming sense of exhaustion and fatigue, and all your stats are kind of increased and not being kind of conducive to the level that you need to be at, which is 82 to 88%. So it's extremely important to ensure that when you're doing rep training, whether that's intervals for 88% and upwards, or whether it's threshold type training between 82 and 88%, should I say, it's important that you are very consistent in your drills. And what I mean by that is, if you're going out and doing, let's say, 400 reps and you're 130 all day long on those, then you should be consistent in your 130s. If you are increasing your capacity at that and your speed, then you'll probably be 129s, 130s, 128s maybe, and there's probably a second or so difference between each of them. But you certainly shouldn't be having like a 130, a 128, a 126, a 122, a 126, a 132 and a 140, because that's inconsistent, and you are starting to get extremely fatigued halfway through your sessions that you're doing, and you're not maximizing the potential of the intensity minutes or seconds at that specific intensity. So very important that you're very consistent in your reps and your intensity for that duration. Thanks for listening, and enjoy your training.